Hi there. Okay, so we've been through what Bargello is, we've been through how to thread a needle and knot the needle. Now we're ready to get started with our actual embroidery. So one of the tips that I've found is, especially when you're starting out, your canvas, as it's been cut, has all of these little edges here, and they are quite stiff. So sometimes what happens is your threads will catch them, and can be quite frustrating, but it can also damage your threads. One of the little tips that I've discovered to help avoid that is if you've got some masking tape or some sticky tape, and just pop that along the four edges. And then what that does is it allows the threads to slip without catching. Okay, so as I said, you don't have to do that step, but I just find it a little more helpful and less frustrating if the threads don't get caught up on your edges. Perfect, so that's ready to go. The next thing that we need to look at is our stitch charts. So as I said, this was one that I got from the DMC website through Pinterest. And they're really quite easy to read and understand. Basically, if you look at the construction on the picture and the construction of the canvas, you can see in the enlarged sheet that it is just a matter of these yellow lines symbolizing one of these threads on the chart. Okay, so where you've got a box here, a white box, you have a hole in the canvas. So a white box means a hole in the canvas. So to read this pattern, what you're doing is you're bringing your needle from the back to the front of your canvas at position 1, so one of the holes. And then you're skipping one hole and bringing your needle down into another hole. Then from the back to the front, you're bringing the needle up into position 3, so the next hole across, and then skip a box down into position 4, and so on. So this is your first plain stitch, and I will show you exactly what that looks like. So picking up our thread with our knot, we are going to come up position 1. So because we're going to do a few samples on this canvas, we'll just start this somewhere along the top. So I'm going to pick any box, and you can see that I've just brought my needle up into any of those boxes at the top. All right, and the knot stops it from coming through. Okay, so our pattern, our chart, said that we skip one box, so that's one box that we're skipping, and we're bringing our needle into position 2. So we've skipped one full box and we've gone into position 2. All right, now we are going in from the back to the front in the next box across. So see how you can see that I've got my needle coming up into the next box and then back down next to the other stitch. So we've skipped a box and into the next one. From the back to the front, and sometimes it takes a few holes to poke into. No, not there. Okay, I found the right spot. So I've brought it up from the back to the front, skipping a box and going through. And you just repeat this for as many stitches that you need. Now sometimes, which has just happened now, I've gone to pull the thread and it's gotten stuck. So what you need to do is just turn it around, don't force it, just turn it around and pull it back and it unknots itself and you're through again. So as long as you don't force your thread, you can fix up any of the little knots. So you have just created your first row . Let's just knot it again for me. So I've just pulled it back. So you've just created your first row . Of Bargello stitching. Okay, so the next thing I just wanted to quickly show you now that I've gotten to this point is, as you can see, my thread is now almost the same length. So my tail thread, which was that shorter, is now almost the same length when I pull my needle as what we've been working with. So now what you do is you just follow it down, and at your needle point you're just pulling the thread along so that it becomes shorter again. So this is your spare, this tail end that we're using is your spare thread. Starts off almost similar, and as you're using it up, you pull your needle through. Okay, I'll do a few more stitches and I'll show you how to secure it from the back. Awesome, so we've come to the end of the quantity of stitches that we want. So if the pattern has said 10 stitches or 12 stitches, you do your 12 stitches, and then we turn our canvas to the back, and we know that it's the back because we've got our knot. And what you do is you run your needle inside those stitches. So for about 6 stitches, pull that through and trim. So you do end up having some little tails. This knot we can now trim a little bit shorter. So you do have a few tails, but you can trim those down a little bit later. They don't need to be very long, just a couple of millimeters. Okay, so you have just done your first step of Bargello plain stitch embroidery.